Welcome to Barn Banter, the podcast by Horse Illustrated. Each month, we bring guests to educate, entertain, or inspire you as you pursue the horsey lifestyle, plus an adoptable horse with a unique story. I'm Susan Friedland, an equestrian author, blogger, and speaker with a soft spot for off-track thoroughbreds. You can find me at my blog, saddleseekshorse.com, or on Facebook or Instagram at saddleseekshorse.
And I'm Holly Kakamis, editor-in-chief of Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazines. You can find us at horseillustrated.com, youngrider.com, and Horse Illustrated and Young Rider on Instagram and Facebook.
Hey, Holly. How's it going?
It's going great. How is your summer?
Well, it's August now, and you know what that means, right?
What does that mean?
Heat, where I am, humidity, and bugs. And the cicadas are gone finally. But the mosquitoes are just awful this year. We've had a lot of rain.
Yeah, we've got the same problem. My son's very reactive to mosquito bites, and he just had his first night of coming in from playing outside at dusk and covered in welts all over his poor little leggies and ankles. And it's so sad.
Okay, so I've heard, I don't know if this is true, maybe this is a tangent, that because I also get the welts from mosquitoes, that it has something to do with blood type. Have you heard that? You're a science person.
Yeah. They don't seem to like me, or if they're biting me, I don't even get a reaction. So I don't know. I probably don't have it. That sounds like something I've heard before. Mm-hmm. But the good news is last year, a company sent me a huge box of mosquito repellent, every kind, sprays and every kind of thing. And I just need to it was in the middle of winter, so I just stuck it in the closet. And I think I know I gotta just dig it up because it's time. It's time. I thought, oh, maybe we're getting lucky this year. It's already summer and I haven't seen them out, but now they're out. So
no, well, and I remember listeners who've been fans of the show for a while know, I was in California for a long time and I'm now in the Midwest. And I don't remember mosquitoes ever being a problem for night in California. Now the flies, that was something, did the fly spray and what have you. But I am struggling, and I think I may have reached a new level of weird horse girl. So I have to tell you about my morning.
Okay.
All right. Well, I had the saddle. So I have to back up a little. I had the saddle fitter out last week because, try to do that once every 6 months.
Man,
being
you need
diligent.
to just pay their annual salary at this point because I feel like you're always visiting the saddle fitter.
Yeah. Saddle fitter came out. She's great. And then she broke the news to me, which I kind of already know. She's like, your horse has lost a little weight. Womp womp. So anyway, and she said, my horses do too. In the summer, they're stomping at the flies. And if it's so hot, maybe, I get that. If it's really hot, I don't have an appetite as much. So long story short, I've been observing my horse, and I've mentioned in the past, Night is a cribber, and he is in a field. I don't know how big it is, all day long with a few buddies, but it is a gorgeous grassy field that I longed for all those years we were in California. I mean, it's acres. And I went out there the other day. He's standing in the little barn that's the little shed. Yeah. Went out again. Standing and you aren't eating. He's not eating. And then I connected. The bugs are too bad. So I do own a fly sheet. I have not had to use it the last few summers that we've been back here.
Well, and you feel bad because they get even hotter. But the fly boots, I find the fly boots.
Okay. Yes, I use the. Okay, so I'll tell you his whole outfit.
Okay, let's hear his outfit.
He's got the bright orange fly boots.
Nice.
He's got the fly mask that has the ears. I don't know why they make them that don't have the ears. That doesn't make sense to me. And it's got the little dangly fringe, by the muzzle. Oh, so he's already got that. Well, now we've added the next level of armor. And I busted out my fly sheet from, I don't remember the last time I had to use it. So I went to the farm this morning and I'm thinking, this is going to be great. It's early morning. The mosquito, whatever bugs are out there that bother him are probably not bad. He's going to be grazing in the big, beautiful field. Nope. In the shed again,
Oh,
cribbing,
nice.
even though he has a crib strap. So I'm like, okay, this is why you're losing weight because you're just obsessing in here and you're not eating. So I'm thinking about how I'm such an excellent trainer. So I put the fly sheet on and it's got the neck part too. So he's literally almost all covered with fly sheet
Oh.
or some protection of some sort. And I'm like, I'm going to hand graze him within the field to demonstrate to him that he is now protected against these, the menace of these mosquitoes. So I am like, okay, this is weird. And then there's a young horse in the field. He came up and was kind of like wanted to pull at the fly sheet. And so I'm like waving my hands, like, go away. And anyway, so I get Night off to this delicious looking area where there was some clover. And he puts his head down and starts grazing. I'm holding the lead rope. I'm like, okay, this is going really well. Now, I did notice maybe like two mosquitoes kind of swarming around his legs, the only unprotected part of his body. Well, I take the halter off. Within seconds, he and the other two horses in the field at the time go bulleting back to the shed. So, like, we're talking full gallop. He just like hightailed it back to the shed. So I'm like, are you serious? You're not eating because there were two mosquitoes on your legs. So then I go back into the barn. I get my fly spray because I'm an excellent horse person, right? And I go into the shed where he's just standing there, not cribbing this time. He's just standing. I'm thinking this is pathetic. So I'm like just dousing him the like maybe 12 inches of his upper, like from knee and above. That is the only part that a bug could get. Spray, 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 inside, outside of the legs. I'm like, okay, I'm going to hand graze him again to demonstrate to him that he needs to eat. And so I went out again thinking this is so ridiculous that I have to do this, like the lengths I go to. Um, I'm happy to report that I removed the halter after the second round where his legs are sprayed and he continued grazing. And then I met, as I was walking back to the barn, one of my friends from the barn. We had a nice little chat in the parking lot. And I'm looking over there, still grazing. And then I had to go in to the barn and put the fly spray away and do some other stuff. Came back out, still grazing. So fingers
Good.
crossed, this is going to do the trick. And I just have to, maybe I need to ride him with do they have fly sheets you can ride it? Like, because I rode
There
outside
are like
yesterday.
quarter sheets, like fly quarter sheets you
Yeah.
can put on his butt end.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Poor guy. He's just a sensitive little thoroughbred. I
He
mean,
is, oh,
and I
yes.
had a hard keeper. Actually, my Artie, who was only like 80 some percent thoroughbred, was the hardest keeper I've ever had. He just was like a supermodel metabolism. You could just feed this guy bales of alfalfa and he would just barely start to look the right weight. It was crazy. He does good on grazing though. He did like to graze, but a lot of my thoroughbreds were just you put them out on that grass and they would turn into a nice chunky little guy. But out here we don't
Yeah.
have the grazing. We do have the flies. I was just out riding last night and all the horses were swishing and stomping and their tails go in your face and you're like blinded by the tails and you're afraid they're gonna kick a fly and knock you down. And so I was getting out the fly spray douser myself. I don't know how long it lasts for. I guess it depends on what kind it is, but it.
Well, and here's the thing. I've been doing an experiment. I'm trying to get away from nasty chemicals and do natural. So I bought several different air quote natural fly sprays.
Mhm.
I plan to write a blog post at some point. What I do like, a couple of them, the smell is very good. But
Yes.
regardless of whatever fly spray that I'm using, like yesterday when I was riding outside, I literally sprayed him 3 times before I went outside. And then the arena, it was okay. And then I wanted to do a lap around the barn property, which there's mowed, it's mowed grazing fields. It's not like there was a woods or a swamp next door. And on the way back to the barn, just looping around the property, I mean, he was throwing his head up and swishing the tail, trying to put his head into the mirror ahead of us because it was bad. So I don't know.
It is, there's that certain time of year. There's always something I've
Hmm.
realized. Like every time of year, there's some annoyance. And right now it is bugs. We had an interesting article about fly spray, like maybe 2 summers ago. And I learned a lot from that. It said, talk to manufacturers. The actual recommended amount to put on for it to do what it's supposed to do is like 2 ounces. Now you think of these spray bottles being like 16 ounces, like that's 8 days worth
Oh,
in one. So
oh,
that's so much fly spray, and it's more than
wow.
anybody is putting on. So that could be part of it.
Interesting.
I know oil-based do last a lot longer than the water-based. However, they attract dust and dirt, which
Right.
probably doesn't matter in our situations because we're not like fancy riding right now. So, at a show, you probably wouldn't want that, but
Yeah.
that could be something to think about. But yeah, basically, you know,
Well, there is one fly spray, and I'm not going to name it, but that's natural, and I think was the most effective one I've ever used, and it had the worst smell. It smelled
oh,
like mothballs and a vintage shop and grandma's
I
antique
guess
drawer
the
where
flies
she kept,
agreed with you. They
so it
didn't
had
want
this
to do
very intense, and whenever I would spray night, he would cough. And I'm thinking like, what? And it wasn't like I was spraying it up his nostrils or in his, so he
no,
had a
yeah,
stronger, so we're not using that one anymore, but I thought
totally
that
fine.
worked
Well,
well.
I have a favorite I can share with you offline, but
Okay.
yes, I've been
That
through them
sounds,
all. I have sure been through them all. There's just shelves of it at my tech store, and you just keep rotating till you find your fave. But
yeah.
yeah, it depends on your horse too. If you
Yeah.
and
Anyway,
you don't want to be
this
in
is
grandma's attic the whole time you're using it.
This is like hashtag equestrian problems, summer edition. But
Yeah.
anyway, we've got a great show today, and I am really thrilled to be talking to Sierra Ginyard, and she is the development director of Detroit Horse Power, and they are a nonprofit that are bringing kids from Detroit, ages 11 to 18, to horses. And right now, the program is the kids have to get transportation and they go out a ways from the city to meet with horses. And they've got some exciting plans in the work to have a new equestrian center in an urban area.
For special rates on Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazine subscriptions just for our podcast listeners, visit horseillustrated.com/barn banter.
Well, hello, Sierra. It's really nice to see you here on our Zoom and have you on Barn Banter with us today. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm really eager to learn a lot more about Detroit Horsepower. And I was looking over your bio and I saw that your first experience with horses was not what I would have expected. And that was you were involved with the Peace Corps. And maybe tell us a little bit about your first encounter with horses and that experience.
Sure. So unlike the youth that I work with now, I got introduced to horses later in life in my mid 20s. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Central America, specifically a youth development volunteer. And so, as a part of my day to day, we would utilize horses in different capacities in regards to just meeting our basic needs, whether it's assistance and support with water. But also, we had a number of where I was located was very rural. And so sometimes getting out to those rural parts consisted of transportation and utilizing horses as those meets, especially when we have visitors like medical brigades come and they need a translator when they're going to the remote parts of a town. And so that was my introduction, helping them. I first had to learn more about horses and get familiar with them and all the tack that's involved and the care and and then help others get introduced to them. Because the way that we interact here in the States with horses is a lot different from others. And so I got a multi-dimensional perspective of the different ways that we can build relationship with horses.
I have to dig into this a little more because now I'm so curious. So were these horses like horses that pulled a cart, or were you like the medical brigade? Were you people riding them to get out to these remote areas, or was it both?
Oh, it was definitely both. So with the medical brigade riding the horses to get to the remote parts, but then also we had horses that would carry like our water and be in different, like one of the other towns that I was connected with, I lived in a part that connected the coffee village with the farms. And so that's a lot of coffee beans that's collected. So we needed transportation. And so we would have carriages that the horses that would bring the coffee along so that we can clean them and get them dispersed. So yeah.
Now I want some coffee. Okay, that's really cool. So I love all this, and I'm a history buff, and I would love to learn a little bit more, maybe about Detroit Horse Power. Because if you were, I'm trying to connect because it sounds like your first introduction to horses was in a very rural area, and now you're in a very urban area, and so this is just a really fascinating journey. So please tell us the
Yeah.
story.
So encountering my experience with horses, as a volunteer, we went through really a lot of different stages, emotionally, mentally, because this is a whole new environment for us. And one of the things that I experienced was a lot of loneliness. I'm just going to be honest. And as a part of that loneliness, one of the things that helped get me through was the relationship that I had with the horse that I was given. And that helped me um through those challenging times where I didn't have a connection standing up on the highest point in my village to call my parents or another volunteer just to share about experiences and things of that nature. So that's not only was I utilizing horses, but they were also my support system. And so when I came to Detroit prior to after Peace Corps, what transpired is that I was a Detroit Revitalization Fellow, and we utilize horses for professional development and how building relationships with others. And we utilize the horses to as an image for that of what leadership really means. And leadership being selfless, being communicative, being open and transparent, because you have to when you're working with horses. They get every ounce of what you're feeling, and they're going to be like, nope, not today, if you didn't leave everything you're going through at the stall.
Yeah.
And so it was a great introduction, both in how to connect with youth through Peace Corps, and then the professional development aspect. And when I was introduced with Detroit Horse Power, Detroit Horse Power founder David Silver was a teacher. And so he was in the school setting in Detroit public schools and felt that there was a really necessary opportunity to think outside of box for urban youth of how to equip them with the day-to-day life skills. And I thought that was phenomenal vision. And I agreed it's a necessity. And so he stewarded it on since 2015 to present. And that's where we are today to really grow Detroit students and provide opportunities for them to have access to horses, because we know the power of horses is phenomenal and it's life-changing and it's long-lasting.
Well, I'm a former educator, so now I want to know a little bit more about your founder. What grade level did he teach and what subject?
So I believe he taught elementary school.
Yeah.
So I don't believe it was a specific subject,
Right.
but
It's
he
all
taught,
the multiple subject.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That And do you know, was he or is he a horseman or just like,
Oh yeah.
oh,
So
okay. So that's,
he's originally from the East Coast, and his mom was an equestrian and got David and his sister involved in learning about horses, riding horses, and so he has a long-standing history of with horses. And so I'm glad that he used his experience growing up to reintroduce it actually to Detroit students.
and so I mean, I see Detroit. I watch a lot of those home like on HGTV shows, and I think there's
Uh-huh.
one where they're renovating a lot of homes in Detroit. And so
Yes.
other than that, and like the sports teams, I don't. Yeah, I was in Detroit decades ago, but all that to say, I don't have a feel for like what the
Hmm.
area is like. But as you're saying it, what comes to mind is, very urban, and so horses
Yes.
probably aren't
Yeah.
close to the city. But it sounds
Yeah.
like with Detroit Horsepower, there are horses in the city. So maybe help us understand that and the
Yeah.
geography a little.
Yeah. So what excites me about Detroit Horsepower is I have a long family history in Detroit. My grandparents were here, great grandparents, my father, and my grandparents had over 15 kids. So I have over 40 first cousins. So then I just want to give you perspective when I say a big family. And so um, when I told my parents that I was going to be working with Detroit Horsepower, they got really excited, and my aunts and uncles started sharing with me all these stories about horses in Detroit. And so it's not foreign. It's like my grandparents would ride the horses at the state fair and on Belle Isle, and my aunts and uncles and my dad. And so it's one generation removed with
Mhm.
myself and my cousins. But what excites me is that another generation will be reintroduced to horses. Currently in Detroit, there are no horses, but Detroit Horsepower is, as I said, reuniting that. We have a 14-acre vacant lot that used to be the old Paul Robeson school site. And so this fall of 2024, we will be breaking ground and opening the largest U.S. Urban equestrian center in 2020, later 2025. So it's really exciting to reintroduce an aspect of Detroit that has a long-standing history that has been removed, but restoring it back to its greatness, and that students will have access to horses literally by just walking down the street. And if you don't mind, I just want to share a little bit about the significance of that impact. And that is because right now, the way that our program works, we have phenomenal barn partners all throughout the state of Michigan that we take our students to. We provide transportation. We pick them up from their home and go around the city picking up all the students, take them probably at least an hour outside of the city to be with our partner barn, and then take them back home. So during the school year, when we have an after school program, literally our students only get 30 to 45 minutes with horses. And as a question yourself, like, that's
Not enough.
they're in withdrawal. That's just not enough. So now that we are working on the equestrian center, the students are excited that it will be here before they know it next year. And they'll have it literally be able to walk down the street and have daily access to horses. I'm so glad for that.
That is amazing. And I love this. And right now, as we're recording this, it's in the summer and
Hmm.
there's a summer camp. Maybe share a little bit
Yes.
about that program. And in your opinion, what do you think is the highlight for one of the campers?
Yeah. So our summer camp includes from Monday through Thursday, we provide from 9 to 3 p.m. So it's early morning for our students because again, we pick them up in the morning, sometimes 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, so that they can get to the our partner barns by um by at least 9 a.m. And then they do rotations where they learn, spend time with horses and doing the horse riding. But we know there's more to horse care than just the riding aspect. So they do the grooming and the tacking. And then also what we thrive on is social emotional learning. So we have a curriculum that we use called the PERKS traits. And PERKS stands for perseverance, empathy, responsible risk taking, confidence, and self control. Those are key elements that the students said themselves that they experience and when they're working with horses, but also is what's needed for them as future leaders, as the next, young adults that they need to in order to be successful in life. One of the highlights that I experienced at the summer camp is the enthusiasm and the quick learning that our students undertake. When I say enthusiasm, specifically that they after being on a shuttle for maybe 2 or 3 hours, like we give them snacks when they get there, get to the barn. But as soon as they get their snacks, they're ready to go. They're ready to learn, and they just want to be fully immersive. And they build the relationships with horses that really matter. And then that they want to grow within themselves. So that's very powerful. When you want to see them challenge themselves, like I want to try trotting, I want to try vaulting, I want to try and be more successful in how I do reining. That speaks phenomenal. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at these leaders. They learn. But I can't get too excited because you know that I want them to shut down. But like in my head, I'm like screaming, this is so exciting. So that's the highlight for me.
Oh my gosh, that's really fun. I don't know if you're allowed to share this, but I would love to hear the story of maybe one camper or one student who's been involved with the Detroit Horse Power. And maybe you're not
Yeah,
allowed to say names, but you could tell us a
I
story of
do.
someone who's really just had such a deep connection with the horse or how it's, helped them.
Yeah, so right now, one of the students that I was connecting with last week, her name is Jada, and she has been with us for 3 summers. And she'll tell anyone when she first came, she was just so scared of horses. She knew that they couldn't necessarily harm her, but they would, as we all know, they're big and they're powerful. And so she didn't quit. She just would stand beside it, walk with the horses. So it was really, really a journey for Jada. And then this summer, not only has she progressed very well. She comes to summer camp with an agenda. She's like, Sierra, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. And and to see not only her set the goal, achieve the goal, but her excitement around it is just unparalleled. So like, I just can't describe it. And I really want her to be able to share her own words, but to see her growth, to see that she's part of her own solution when it comes to her nervousness and anxiety around horses and being willing to challenge that. That's the confidence in the perks trait that we desire and we hope for. And that also challenges us that we continue to allow her to grow in her confidence. So now it's on us, like, okay, she got this. What are we going to give her next?
That's amazing. And then how do most of the students, and as I read, it's 11 to 18-year-olds, is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then how do they find out about this awesome program in the first place?
Yeah. We've always had a wait list for Detroit Horse Power. Our students find out through word of mouth. We partner with different schools, and the students share about their experience with DHP. It gives them great pride to be like, I'm an equestrian because it's very eclectic, it's nuanced here in the city of Detroit. And so that gets those wheels turning for the youth, and they don't want to miss out on any opportunity that their peers are raving about. So we haven't had a problem with getting students interested. And that's how it works for us, just through word of mouth. Additionally, when we have great opportunities through media to share about DHP, that always has given us more reach. And so we're thankful for those opportunities as well.
That's amazing. And since you shared about a student, I'm wondering, is there a horse that you hear that like everyone wants to groom or lead or ride a certain horse? Is there a fan favorite?
We have a multitude of different barn partners. So at each barn, some of our older students, I use leadership council members, they have their favorites because they've had maybe a handful of opportunities to go to that barn as opposed to others. And so, yes, I would say one of the horses, I believe name is, one of the horses, name is Larry, at Renaissance, one of our partner barns. And it was so easy for me to remember that because the student who loves that horse the most, his name is Larry. Good nickname is Larry.
No way.
So
Oh, that's
yeah.
it's meant to
So
be.
yeah, so Larry has a personal affinity to Larry, and they nuzzle each other in hugs and kisses. It's like Larry's very has become persnickety when he sees her around, and it's like, yes, I only went grooming, like will shudder if someone else tries to groom him. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. And then you were mentioning the media and that I was just, our listeners are from all over the country and that. So if people wanted to follow along with this journey, with just the summer camp and the groundbreaking in the fall and all of that, where would they go on social media to be able to see this?
Yeah, so social media, our best friend. We're on Instagram, Detroit Horse Power. We're also on Facebook, the same Detroit Horse Power, as well as LinkedIn. On our website, www.detroithorsepower.org. We also have an opportunity where you can sign up for our newsletters, and make sure to share each month. We try not to end a day because we know everyone gets a lot of emails, but just try to share some highlights from our after school program, barn camp, and we really, really, really try to focus on our youth. That's what everyone wants to see. The youth with the horses, the growth, the stories, the experience, and that's what we want to make sure to provide. And that's what they want to share as well. So if you want to hear our students in their own voices, please follow us on social media.
That's amazing.
And
And then also,
I had a quick question before your last question. But I was just thinking as you were talking, everything to do with horses is so expensive, and I'm sure you guys must have a shuttle bus and lunches to provide and all kinds of, costs. How does the fundraising work?
Yeah, so we have generous donations, and as our expenses grow with the upcoming equestrian center, the support is definitely needed, especially as I shared earlier with the transportation that we are providing that can get very, very expensive. And then, of course, the time with the horses and our barn partners. And so, on our website at www.detroithorsepower.org, there's the opportunity to provide donation to help support the youth, and it goes 100% goes directly to our students, and making sure that they have after school snacks, that we give them snacks and dinner when they come to after school. Same with summer camp, we give them snacks and lunch, as well as making sure they stay hydrated. We do different sponsorships. We're able to provide like helmets and boots and some gear for our students. And then just for the donations also go towards the access to horses. As you know, it's not cheap at all. And so but despite that, we are very diligent in wanting to provide free access to our after school program and summer camp. So what I'm most proud of is that our community in the city of Detroit and nationwide really show up and donate to make this all happen. So our community is very expansive and we are so appreciative of them. Yeah.
I had a couple more questions actually. And I'm glad you asked that, Holly, because I was going to ask. I noticed on the website that there's a place where if people wanted to sponsor a camper, that they could do that. So hopefully this will be out in August and people can still sponsor a camper if they wish.
Yeah.
But also, before we started recording, we were talking about kind of, I don't know if trend is the right word, but how across the country in these urban centers that there's kind of a movement to try to bring horses to the students in those communities. And so maybe you could just speak on that point for a little bit.
Yeah. So, as I shared a little bit earlier, that Detroit is not foreign to having horses in the city. It's just been dormant, and we're revitalizing that. And so our thought is that as we're going through this journey, to really document it and to be able to provide support for other urban cities, that they can also provide this innovative, out of the box youth development opportunity for students through horses. It's very different exchange of having something that's mostly done in a rural setting in an urban environment, but there's so many environmental advantages, mental health advantages, agriculture advantages to having horses in city and urban environments that we can collectively speak to it. When I say collectively speak to it, there are some programs like in Philly, in Los Angeles that do exist. And I think collectively we can introduce what that pathway would be for other cities throughout the nation. And so we're hoping to open that dialogue, build a more expansive network to make sure that our students, particularly those in brown and Black and brown communities, have new best friends through horses.
Amazing. And is there anything else you wanted to share with us? A story of a student or maybe from your personal journey with Detroit Horsepower?
Yeah, so I think one of the other aspects that I found very profound is that it's not just the activity that our students experience when they're with horses. It's really honing in on the social skills that are not learned in the classroom that can translate from when they're out with the horses to dealing with problems in real life, now, presently, and in the future. We graduated our largest cohort this spring of 6 seniors, and that's really pivotal for us. Some of the seniors who have graduated have been with us since 2015, since the inception of Detroit Horsepower. So I try not to get misty. They're going on and doing major things. And some of them will go on and be entrepreneurs. Some of them are going to college. Some of them are not only going to college, but majoring in veterinary studies, environmental science, animal science, and things of that nature. And a lot of it's because they were introduced to it. I have this expression that I use, you don't know what you don't know. And so one of the things that I'm most proud of is Detroit Horsepower introducing what many youth do not know so that they can at least make more informed decisions, and how those who may not become further on their equestrian journey, but they'll have the skill sets of understanding, like through the barn care aspect and having to be a part of that, what it's going to take to be an entrepreneur. That there's always going to be funding that's going to be needed, organization. What does leadership look like when you own your own business and things of that nature? So the skill sets that they have acquired through the program are transferable in so many different ways. And so personally, that's why it's really, really important to me. And one of the ways that Detroit Horsepower and my colleagues really focus our attention on the breadth of different opportunities that horse riding and the horse experience can get. It's not just one dimensional, it's multidimensional.
I'm really glad you brought that point up. This is really beautiful work that you guys are doing, and just been a delight to talk to you. And I encourage our listeners to be sure to go check out the website and definitely follow you guys and see the good, just the good work that's happening there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Next up, we'll be talking to Allison Hungerford. She is the communications coordinator for Susquehanna SPCA, and that is in Cooperstown, New York. And she has two adoptable horses to share with us, Swiss and Feta. Hi, Allison. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
So first, I just wanted to talk about the Susquehanna SPCA. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do there and what type of shelter or facility that is?
Absolutely. So primarily we work with smaller animals like dogs and cats. We often say we feature anything from hamsters to horses. That's kind of been our new, since we started the horse program, our new kind of like tagline that we tell people. So we take in any animals that people need to surrender or that maybe are not well cared for, that are seized by law enforcement, that we help to find homes for once they become ours. And we just kind of pride our organization on open adoption. So it's kind of like we're having right now, an interview to get to know you of sorts. It's casual. It's nothing like super strict. And the reason for that is we really like to build a relationship with the people that we're adopting to, so that in the future they can reach out to us if they have a problem or if it's not a good fit. And that's not always a really big problem. Sometimes when it's not a good fit, what we learn is that we need to find a different type of placement for that animal. And we learn so much more about them. And we help those people find a better fit, because just because it didn't work out doesn't mean that they're not a good pet owner. And that's the same thing that we've tried to pave the way for horses as well, as we opened up that equine section of our adoption program to kind of just build a relationship and find a good fit for people by getting to know them.
Okay, and it looks like, are these the only two horses, that Swiss and Feta, that you have right now? And are they near the small animals, or are they completely separate? How does that work?
Yes. So right now there are only available horses. We do have some that are kind of pending case like finalization and things like that. But they are not near our small animals. So we have a barn that we do rent. And so we try to keep it pretty quiet there. We don't have open visitation, but once we kind of chat with you a little bit at our shelter about the horses that you're interested in, you're more than welcome to go up and visit with them directly. But in Swish and Vetta's case directly, they actually are at a foster home with one of our amazing fosters. And it's so great because she just spends so much time doting and loving on them and brushing them, and they're just living their best life while they wait for their forever people to come along.
They are really cute. I've been on their pages. Can you tell us a little bit more about Swiss and Feta? And I have to just say, Feta, is a Appaloosa, which I think is...
I know, she is gorgeous.
I'm obsessed with Appaloosas. And then Swiss is a chestnut with a lot of chrome, which I know a lot of people love that too. So they're both super cuties. But yeah, why don't you tell us a little more about them?
Absolutely. So they were actually transferred to our care by the ASPCA through our Right Horse Program partnership. And I actually had the benefit of being able to go down where they were seized by the ASPCA and the sheriff's department in the county that they were seized in, to help care for them. And that's kind of where I fell in love with them and knew that if something happened and the ASPCA did end up with their custody, that we would really want to help them. I wanted to help them all, but Swiss and Feta stole a piece of my heart for sure. And they are just so lovable. They're both in your pocket type horses, and they actively seek your attention and kind of sometimes a little bit demand it, which I love. They are both older. Swiss is 30 and Feta is 28, and that's by our estimation. So they're kind of ready for a retirement home and they're ready to just be companions. They do absolutely adore each other, which I think is so sweet. But I also noticed that in their herd, they adored other horses as well. So I think that while they would love to go together, that's not like necessary per se. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Well, you never know. Sometimes people are looking for a pair, so that
Definitely.
could work out well. And it sounds like they are sweet as far as ground handling and all of that. Are they still
Absolutely.
putting on weight? Do they have any special care needs at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So they are both really, really easy to handle. We know that they're broke to ride, but unfortunately, with their advanced age and a little bit of medical stuff going on with them, we do just ask that maybe they don't go to a riding home. But they are really, like you said, very great to handle. Feta is she steals a piece of my heart for this specifically. She's a little sassy when it comes to other ladies. That's why I think she gets along so well with Swiss. And she definitely prefers to be the boss mare of her herd. And she will try to make that happen for a little bit of time in that adjustment period. We had another mare with her for a while, and she definitely was the boss. But in her old herd, I did notice as well that there was a mare that was her boss. So I think with time, she may settle in that aspect as well. Feta is currently recovering from an injury to her right hind leg. Our vets think it's a bone spur that maybe caused a cruciate tear of some nature. She's doing really well and she's improving really well. Some of the helpfulness of that was transferring her to that foster home so she could be away from that other mare while they were in that adjustment period, so they weren't just having little debacles about who was going to be the boss. So she can be kind of quieter, and she's doing well. And Swiss had a little bout of a scare recently, and we did our vet diagnosed him with likely EPM that has been treated, and he's been doing really, really well ever since. So they just both have some maybe age related, maybe not problems that are really, really easily managed right now.
Okay, sounds great. And I was just looking up on the map because I thought I knew quite a lot after having been to like Albany and Saratoga and New York City a lot, but it looks like you are out more kind of in the middle upstate, closer to Syracuse. Is that right?
Yeah, we're kind of between Syracuse and Albany, I would almost say, in Cooperstown, New York, and that's the home of baseball for anybody that's a baseball fan, or it might help you find Cooperstown. And it's a cute little town to visit. So we do adopt to folks out of state if it's a good fit. So maybe you want to take a weekend to travel and visit Cooperstown and meet Swiss and Feta.
And this is a great time of year to do so, and coming up into the fall leaves in a few months.
Yes.
So yes, that's a great idea. I love it. And then how can people find out more about Susquehanna SPCA and these horses and more info about them?
So they are listed on ASPCA's Right Horse website. They also are listed on our website, which is sqspca.org. But really, to get the best information through a conversation, maybe give us a call at 607-547-8111. And one of our adoption counselors will happily chat with you to help you learn more about Swiss and Feta and also get to know you a little bit more to see if it's a good fit.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Don't be shy. Show us some barn banter love by leaving a review, and you can tell all your friends too.